Hey everybody, what is up? Welcome to episode 12 of the Create With Us podcast, where we take you behind the screens. My name is Brett Barley, joined as always by my guy, Jeff Vinn. Jeff, what's going on today, man?
Yeah, today we're excited we've been knocking out these episodes and narrowing down the guests, and we have a really relevant topic today considering what's going on during the pandemic and how things have moved online. So I'm excited to unpack the power of webinars and storytelling in today's podcast.
Me too. This is going to be awesome. We have a super cool guy in today for episode 12 on this happy Friday. His name is Steve Werner. He is the story expert. Let me tell you a little bit about Steve real quick. 6 years ago, Steve left his corporate job to change lives through live events and public speaking. So since then, he has held 63 sold out events for himself and clients. He's built more than 138 different presentations, and he's spoken on more than 200 live and virtual stages, including Harvard's Business Summit on Marketing, Influence, and Conversion. That's pretty cool. He focuses on helping coaches, influencers, and small business owners grow through webinars, one-to-many sales presentations, and live events. So this is going to be awesome, as you can tell. Let's bring Steve on in. Steve, thank you for joining us today. What's going on? Happy Friday.
Hey, what is going on? Happy Friday.
Thanks so much.
Awesome.
Yeah, I know. I know it is. Friday is definitely awesome. We made it through the week, and we couldn't think of a better way to cap off the week than hanging out with you, Steve. So thanks so much for coming on in and hanging out today.
No problem. It's my pleasure, guys.
Well, let's jump on into it. Steve, why don't you tell us a little bit about your hustle? Tell us where you're from, what you do. Tell the people a little bit of background information about you.
Sure. So a unique thing about me is I live in Airbnbs all across the country. Right now I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, but I am soon to be moving to Lake Tahoe, Reno area. That's the next place on the list. This all started, I used to work for Vail Resorts, lived in Vail, Colorado, but I went to see Tony Robbins. I had that vision of me being on stage, and I was like, well, screw the corporate world. So 2014, I quit. I packed up everything, gave everything away, moved to Las Vegas to start holding live events. Fell flat on my face, burned through $30,000 in savings, all my retirement, everything. But out of the ashes, I learned how to hold live events. I learned how to speak on stage. But more importantly, I learned how to sell my services from stage, because it is the ultimate form of leverage. Being able to sell, like we've probably all done one-on-one sales, we know that they convert well, but how do you leverage that? That definitely leads to a cap in income. It also leads to a cap to the amount of people you can reach. Plus, I mean, after a while, it's just not nearly as exciting as standing on stage, sharing your message, really getting it out there. So that's what I focus on now. 2018, I moved away from my own agency, and I just started helping people build their own presentations, get on their own stages, build their own live events, and really start to impact the world.
Very good. Very, very good stuff. So as far as how you got into that career path, as far as what you do, what type of customers or what type of client do you typically work with? Is there a certain field, or does it kind of vary case by case?
That's a really good question. When I started, I focused on dentists, chiropractors, plastic surgeons, nutritionists, holistic health. So that was when I was building my own events. I was bringing them in, and I would sell them into a lot like you guys do. I would build websites, I would do their marketing for them, and I would help them grow their businesses. That was 2014, 15, 16. And then I started transitioning out of that. The client model was really difficult for me. I don't know about you, but I don't love sitting in front of a computer all day, banging that stuff out. I also didn't like having, at the time I had a team that was larger than I liked. I just said, there has to be a better way. I didn't get into this to sit here and do this. I got into this to be on stage, to build live events. So when I pivoted, I started working with a lot of coaches, a lot of consultants, a lot of service providers. So I've helped a lot of financial planners, a lot of realtors, believe it or not, have come through this, because they found that by doing small local live events and getting to know people, they can actually get more listings that way. We all know that realtors want listings. So that's one of the fastest ways for that. So now it's more about high-end service providers, whether they be digital marketers, coaches, consultants, that kind of area, or a few service providers in the financial space, realtors. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else that stands out. Oh, doctors. I worked with doctors to help them explain their services and sell medical devices.
Okay, very cool, very cool. So a little bit little bit of everything. So let's get more into that. Let's find out a little bit about how it is that you help businesses grow. And I'll let my man Jeff step in here for a second and take over.
Yeah. So Steve, I love how you talked about like one-to-one selling and how that gets old and how you can like leverage the power of the stage. Of course, the pandemic changed a lot of things for you because you were running done for you live events or done with you live events. But now almost every business, you've named many types there, have opportunity to tell their story online. But it's more than just a webinar or more than just an event online. It's storytelling, right? So why don't you dive into that?
Of course. So, I mean, if you're listening to this, you have a business. I know Jeff's audience a little bit. So you have a business, and what we think as business owners, our ego tells us, well, the way that we can serve people the best is just to dump all the information that we have onto them. Well, I want you to think about this for a second. I want you to go back to high school or college. I want you to think about your favorite teacher. Now I want you to think about your least favorite teacher. Chances are you would go into their class, they would be at the board, they'd be teaching. You'd be sitting there trying to take notes. They would teach. They wouldn't really interact with you. They wouldn't make it fun. You'd probably put your head down, fall asleep, you'd pass notes. Or if you're like me, you just run out the back door and you'd be out of school, right? Now I want you to think about your favorite teacher. Chances are that they're engaging. They talk to you. They know you a little bit. They make learning fun. But here's the secret. They actually teach less. I've seen so many financial planners, realtors, coaches, mindset people. We stand up there and we're like, we just have to give everything that we have. The secret is that it's not about how much you teach. You're at an 8, 9, or 10 in your expertise. Most of the people that you're talking to are at a 1, maybe a 2. Your goal is to move them one level, not to try to get them to a 10. If you try to dump all that information on them in a 30-minute, 20-minute, hour-long presentation, you're just going to overwhelm them. What are they going to do? They're going to fall asleep. They're going to talk to the neighbor. They're going to be on their phone. Our brains shut down when we get dumped information and we can't process it. So we check out. Instead, using story always gets people to lean in, listen to you, and it stops the wall from going up. So the wall, you want to talk about the wall a little bit, Jeff?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay, so the wall is whenever you start telling somebody about what you do. So think about a cocktail party or a networking event. I'm sure everybody has been to a networking event online recently, right? You've done a Zoom room where everybody's networking. Well, what happens when you're in the room and somebody just starts like word vomiting on you and telling you how awesome they are and how they've done everything in the world and that you need to be their client and you need to buy from them? What happens? You're like, shut up. I don't want to hear you anymore. Right? You're like, gosh, this guy had 3 minutes and he's gone on for 7. Instead, tell a story. Tell a story about why you're passionate about what you do. Tell a story about some results that you got for clients. And that story can be 30 seconds and it gets people to lean in. I'll give you mine just because I know people love examples. So I always lead with, how many people have been on a webinar in the last 6 months? How many people have fallen asleep on a webinar in the last 6 months? Everybody, right? I help people fight that. I make your presentation fun, exciting, and get people to lean in. The last person that I worked with, we doubled their sales in a single weekend. We went from about $15,000 on a webinar to more than $45,000. Wow. If you'd like to know more, I'm happy to talk to you, but I'd just rather hang out with you. Why don't you tell me where you're from? Tell me a little bit about yourself. That's little awesome. 90-second blurb gets people to lean in and want to talk to you versus the wall going up, right? Shut up. I don't want to hear you anymore. Why am I here? Can I turn my camera off? Like, that's what you hear most people doing in these virtual networking things.
For sure. Do you help customers or advise them on, how to go get their audience for their webinar? Because that's cool. The webinar's done. The story's improved. Like, what about the whole audience building part and the sequences to get people signed up and things like that?
Sure. So what we do, there are a couple of different ways that you can drive traffic. And you, Jeff, you called it out. Like you can have the best presentation in the world, but if you don't have people there, you're not going to be able to make any sales. So there are 3 ways that you can get traffic. The first one is paid. It's what everybody wants to do and is probably the hardest one to master. 6, 7, 8 years ago, you could run ads, whether it's pay-per-click Google or Facebook ads, and you could fill a webinar Show up rates back then were like 40, 50%. Now show up rates are 15 to 20% on paid ads. So you're paying more per click. You can pay anywhere between like, I would say $3 to $6 a click, $10 to $20 per registrant, and you're going to have 1 out of 5 show up. So you could easily spend $100 to put somebody into a seat for your webinar. It still works, especially if you're selling something that is $2,000. That's why a lot of coaches and consultants who have courses have moved their price point to $2,000, is because they have to pay for the ad spend to fill the webinar. COVID has actually made this problem a little bit more challenging because there's webinar fatigue. Everyone's been on one. Question that I get a lot is, how long should my webinar be? Maybe we'll touch on that a little bit later. But the second way that you can run traffic is through joint ventures, working with strategic partners. Look at other people that are in your general realm, that have your avatar, that have your ideal customer, but don't offer the same services that you offer, and offer to pay them a percentage of sales. This works really well. If you're a realtor listening to this, or if you're a lawyer listening to this, lawyers use this all the time. Think about who has your people. CPAs, huge lists, right? They have monster lists. And as long as you have a good relationship with them, they'll be willing to put you out there, right? Because you benefit each other. It's reciprocal. So when's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. Start thinking about this now. See how you can serve other people, so when you want to promote, they'll be willing to help you. JV partners are probably one of the best ways. Joint venture partners, strategic relationship, it's all the same thing. It's probably one of the best ways to drive traffic. They're going to come to you as a warm lead. They're more likely to show up because they know, like, and trust the person that sent them to you. If they know, like, and trust that person, that know, like, and trust factor rubs off on you a little bit, and they'll be much more likely to show up than they would from a cold ad.
For sure. Yeah, third way.
Third way. I'll go really quick. The third way.
We're enjoying this. Take your time. This is good stuff.
That's all good. I'm just getting started with coffee. So, you know.
Yeah.
The third way is to run an organic lead gen campaign. So this could be through Facebook. This could be through YouTube. Like, you need to put yourself out there a ton. And you usually want to run a challenge on the front end, either a challenge or like something to get them warmed up and get them interacting with you. This could be a Facebook group. And in the Facebook group, just do something for 4, 5, 6 days to get people to see you every day and know, like, and trust you before you do the masterclass, right? You want to get people warmed up into what you're doing. And then you can have a webinar. Two things are going to happen. One, because you provided so much value in the 5, 6, 10 days leading up to it, people are much more likely to listen to what you have to say. And this is like the side benefit that nobody wants to talk about. If you put a couple hundred people in there and you pour into them and you change their life, even if they don't buy from you, they will recommend you, so that the next time you do this, they will put people in for you. Pretty much every challenge that I've done has doubled in size because the people that came to the first one, you sell like maybe 10, 20, 30% at the most out of that. But I love making money and sales are great. I also love the testimonials that I get out of it, all the social proof. And when it's time to market it again, they're going to go out and all I have to do is run a marketing challenge for them. Hey, if you put people in, I'm happy to pay you a little bit, take care of you on the back end, send people to me. They've consumed your content. They know that you're good at what you do, and they are happy to recommend it to your friends, because everybody wants, think about how many times you've gone out to eat or gone to, hey, do you have a mechanic that I could send my car to? Everybody wants to be the person that's like, oh, I got the guy. You need to go see Jeff, right? You need a website, go see Jeff. Jeff's the dude. He's going to take care of you. Like, everybody wants that. So all you have to do is provide value.
Gotcha. So you talk about 3 ways there: the paid ads, the joint ventures, which make a lot of sense, and then running some challenges with, some build up to that. And the challenges we got to your existing network. Give me some examples of challenges, because Steve, I know you and I have worked offline on some of this. You got like 5-day challenges, this, that, and the other. You want to walk us through an example or one that would help give visitors or listeners a picture of how to run a challenge?
Sure. I have a 5-day challenge coming up. It starts April 5th. I'm not sure when this will be live. Then I have another one in June.
It's live right now. There you
there
go.
we go.
Yeah.
Perfect. April 5th, unlockyourstorychallenge.com. You can go check it out. So it's a free 5-day challenge. And with a 5-day challenge, the keys to it are, it has to be simple, has to be 10 to 15 minutes a day. Your goal is to get them to move one level. So if they're at a level 1 or a level 2, you want them to just move forward and get some success. Most people, the mistake that they make with a challenge is they, again, try to dump way too much information in. It comes from a good place. We want to change people's lives, right? We want to make them better. We want to get them to understand our message, but just try to move them one level. So mine is Unlock Your Story. 10 to 15 minutes a day. It's a 5-minute video and a worksheet with 3 to 4 questions on it that gets you to outline your story. Then by the end of the challenge, you're going to tell your story in the group so you have a safe place to test it out. And then when you're done, I show you how to repurpose that across social media so that you can get organic leads. That challenge right there helps people a ton, right? Like, it lays it out in very easy bite-sized bits that they can do every day, gets people to move forward. And then when I say, well, would you like to leverage your story in a one-to-many sales platform? Would you like to know how to do a webinar? We're going to show you how to build the webinar, how to set up the funnels, how to build all the emails, all the stuff that they need on top of the story to do a webinar. That's the next step. If you want to move forward, great. If not, I'm glad that I served you. Next time I run the challenge, I'd love it if you put a couple of people in. If there's anything I can do in the meantime, feel free to message me. Like, it's the most, I love giving to people. I love changing people's lives. Like, I'm not selfish. I think everybody in this game that does well likes to serve people, and it's one of the best ways to do it. Do you have any questions around that? Did that make sense?
Yeah, that totally made sense. And sharing from experience, I'm in the middle of a 45-day Go Live challenge, Steve, with our friends, the Biz Bros, the two brothers who run an amazing podcast. But they launched this challenge, and the momentum in the community and the vibe around it. And at this point, they're not trying to sell anything, at least that I'm aware of. So it's just been super cool to motivate, to do it. And I haven't done every day, but we're like on day 42 right now. So we're almost done, and I've stuck with it to the end. I mean, today I'm live. So yeah, challenges are pretty cool. They're so non-salesy as well.
Well, that is the key. Like, it's not about making a sale on the front end. It's about pouring into people. And especially in today's environment, 7, 10, 15 years ago, if you were online, you could easily be seen as the expert. Now, skepticism levels are way up here because so many people have come out and said, oh, I'm the expert in X, and they read one book on it, right? Everybody's wondering, is that real? Do they really know how to do what they say? Are they really going to help me? So doing a challenge gives you a chance to really put yourself out there and show that you know what you're talking about and get them results. That is the biggest thing. If you get them results, they will know, like, and trust you. They'll recommend their friends to you. They'll buy from you, and they will be a loyal, raving fan. If you haven't read 1,000 True Fans, Google that article. It is a great article. Tim Ferriss is the one who put that. It's not his article, but he's the one who made it famous. But it talks about how to build 1,000 true fans. And if you have 1,000 true fans, you should easily make $100,000 a year, which there have been a gazillion case studies that back that up. One of the best ways to get a true fan is to change their life. Challenges do that really well. The Biz Bros 45-day challenge, I think that's a really long challenge. I've seen the group, and they definitely have a lot of momentum going. I think personally, I've seen the most success from a 5 to 20-day challenge, just because after 20 days, it's like running a marathon. A lot of people are just like, okay. But they have done such a good job of getting the energy pumped up. I mean, they're two of the most energetic, fun-loving guys in the world. So they've done an awesome job with it.
Agreed. And you got a point with a 5-day challenge. Like, 5 days is a good magic number. And it's just like one simple thing to do, right?
It's exactly one simple thing. So, I mean, the other thing, a lot of people are like, well, what do I make my challenge on? Well, figure out what your ideal client, like, look at your avatar, look at what they want. And it does not have to be based on your business. So I'm going to give you, this is like a huge, huge tip. Think about, like, if you're a lawyer or a doctor or a financial planner, what if you did a, like, improve your golf game challenge? And every day you just had to go hit 200 balls and post your results. Or if it was, Jeff, I know you love to surf. What if it was a business owners who surf? We're going to get up and we're going to surf for 30 minutes every morning before we go to work. Like, you're building that community and you're getting them to know, like, and trust you. Everybody knows what you do. You can talk a little bit about what you do, a little bit. It's not the word vomit. Oh my God, I run an amazing agency. You have to come work with me. And I know you wouldn't do that, but instead just get the community together and get the people moving forward. We all love somebody who motivates us, who shows up consistently, and we know we can trust. What can you do as a challenge for your avatar that will get them to see you in that light? Because if they see you in that light, they will buy from you down the road, or they'll recommend their friends to you.
That's awesome stuff. Well, Steve, one more time, where is your challenge at? Because it sounds like it's good for a lot of people who've guested on this podcast and for our audience as well. So where can they find that challenge?
Sure. So it is unlockyourstory.com. Unlockyourstorychallenge.com. I have to be really clear about that. Unlockyourstorychallenge.com. That will get you there. It's a simple opt-in. You're going to get an email. Every day the challenge is delivered through email. I found that works better than a Facebook group for me. We deliver, it's a short video, 5 minutes or less video with one prompt. Then we do have putting together a Facebook chat where we'll all be in there chatting. I'll be there to answer questions and help you move forward to get your story done. The idea is that you will have a story that will generate organic leads for you. You'll be able to share it on Facebook Lives, in your email sequences, across all of your social media. And I show you how to repurpose it. So you should be able to get at least like 30 to 60 days out of one single story.
That's rad. We'll have to check that out. I know we've been in discussion about it, but I'm going to pop in on the website after this podcast live. So we're going to transition here to the second half of the interview where we're going to talk more about being an entrepreneur and what that is like. And Brett, you have some questions queued up, don't you?
Yeah, I sure do, Steve. So everybody, the dream is to be an entrepreneur, work for yourself, stop working for the man and kind of make your own way. So why don't you, if someone's looking into starting their own business, becoming an entrepreneur, and they're looking at it from your end, what would you say has been the most rewarding part of your journey in entrepreneurship?
Man, I would say helping people. Like there's a lot of, I think entrepreneurs are driven by freedom. Personally, I love having the freedom. I love living all over the US. I love the nice things that it has afforded me. But more than that stuff, I would say it's like changing people's lives. There was a post yesterday in ClickFunnels that somebody made, and it was about how to tell your story, how to do better on a webinar, right? And I don't look at Facebook that much. I'm usually too busy. I'll look at it maybe at night before I go to bed. And it was really cool to go on, and I think I got tagged 8 or 9 different times by different people. And those people were all people that I had helped in some way. Either I helped them build their webinar, I helped them tell their story, I helped them with their funnel. Like, speaking at live events, I've spoke at a ton of live events over the years. And it always, like, every person that I shake their hand, I have coffee with them, I have a 10-minute conversation. I've gotten pinged like months later, years later, and just seeing like the effect that had and seeing them grow their business, change their life, take action, do something. Like that's what really does it for me. The other stuff is great. Like I love the other stuff, but that's like really just seeing people's lives change and seeing them start to have success and live their dream. Like nothing is more motivating than that.
Sure. And that's what it's all about. So let's go to the other side of the coin. What would you say has been the biggest challenge on your journey of being an entrepreneur?
For me personally, shiny object syndrome. I will say, like, running. So when I ran the live events, I would hold the live events, but in the background, I took part in 12 different masterminds. I read a ton of books, more than 200 books. And in the beginning, I would say the first like 3, 4, maybe 4.5 years, I would try out all these different things, right? Well, people say you need to be on Twitter. Well, people say you need a blog. Well, people say you need this. Mm-hmm. And I would jump around and I would do one thing for a month or two. And when my business really changed was when I said, okay, what's my lane? Mm-hmm. What am I good at? What do I enjoy doing? Because you you could run yourself ragged trying to be everywhere at once. So you have two options. You either build a team and outsource all the stuff that you don't want to do, or what I did was I said, okay, I'm really good at video, I'm really good on stage, and I'm really good with audio and podcasts. So that's what I'm going to go all in on. The other stuff I don't care about. And I don't care about trying to repurpose everything everywhere. I know that it's a good skill, but at the time, I didn't have the money to hire a team. So I said, well, where can I start and be consistent? The Biz Bros talked about this as well. Like the way that they started 45 Live was they were like, what can we show up consistently to every single day? And that's the key. You have to publish every single day, pick one lane and do it. I don't care if it's email. I don't care if it's a blog. I don't care if it's a Facebook Live. I don't care if it's a YouTube video, whatever it is, you do one thing and you send out an email about it. Hey, I was live today. I'm going to send an email about being live on this show. That's my daily. Then once you start to scale and you get some money, you can hire out all the repurposing. But trying to be everywhere when you're first getting started is a recipe for disaster. It sounds good. Gary Vee talks about this a little bit in I think it's Jab, 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 Hook. Some book like that. But it's like you're trying to do everything all at once, and all it does is keep you down here, because nobody's going to see you and you're not going to be able to grab traction anywhere. But if you go in on one thing and do it consistently for 3 to 6 months, I guarantee you will see traction.
How do you know if it's the right thing though, right? Because like, for example, paid ads is a difficult one to master. So you could go in on that for 3 to 6 months and maybe end up in the wrong place. Or is that kind of unlikely to happen? Because if there's 10 ideas, 9 of them are probably decent if you stuck with them.
Well, that's the thing. I think all of them are decent. I wouldn't recommend anyone start with paid ads unless you have the budget for it. If you're a business that's doing $500,000 a year, you're brick and mortar, paid ads are fine. But if you're a solopreneur, coach, consultant, somebody who's making, 40 to 80K, maybe 100,000, I think what I recommend for most people is like ads can start around 100K, but there's so much that you can do organically. I guess what I'm talking about more is the publishing side of it. So you have Facebook Lives, you have blogs, you have email, you have Twitter, you have Instagram. Pick what you like to do. If you don't like writing, I kind of enjoy writing, but it takes me 2 hours to write 500 words. That's not a good use of my time. Video is where I'm the best, being on stage, being in front of people. So I would pick what you're going to do consistently. Like, what are you going to do that you know that in your heart, like you can show up for 3 to 6 months and do day in and day out? That's going to get you the most momentum. And I will tell you, daily publishing, I mean, Jeff knows this. When you start daily publishing, you clarify your message, and the benefit is actually more for you than the people that you're reaching, because it gives you, how do you talk about what you do? You know it inside and out. In your sleep, you could be woken up out of a dead sleep and you're going to know exactly what to say to everybody because you've been publishing so much about it. And that content builds. People see that you post daily. I did 150 days in a row on YouTube just to test this out. And my subscriber base grew. And when I stopped, I had people reach out to me and said, hey, where's your daily video? I said, oh, I'm just taking a break. But I had more people reach out to me because they see the consistency. Mm-hmm. And at the end of it, like, it goes back. A lot of people have a real hard time with consistency. So when they see you being consistent, they know that they can trust you and they'll move forward with you, or they'll send people to you because they know they can trust you.
That's beautiful. So biggest lesson learned there as an entrepreneur, shiny object syndrome, spreading yourself 10 different ways versus finding your lane, sticking with it 3-6 months plus.
I mean, I've seen so many people that they're like, well, okay, I'm going to go all in on X, whatever X is. Right. And then the thing is that you have to stick with it for, I would say, 90 days. If you can't stick with it for 90 days, you're not going to see any results. So people do something for 20 days and they're like, well, I haven't seen anything really happen. I don't know. There must be a better way to do this. Let me move from Facebook Lives to blogging. Let me move from blogging to funnels. Let me move from that to, I don't know, I'm going to go out and flyer people. Like, they just, like, you're jumping all over the place. And the thing is that usually they're switching their offer each time they do that as well. One offer, one mode of delivery, 90 days, you will see traction.
There you go. Beautiful.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Steve, let's find out a little bit more about you personally. And we're going to go into the rapid fire round. So we're going to bust some questions out real quick on you.
All right.
Let's jump right into it. Steve, what's a favorite hobby of yours? How do you stay energized outside of work?
I run. I read a lot. I don't know if that's outside of work. That might count as work. Used to play poker a lot. Haven't played poker since the pandemic. I like to be active. I like to hike. I like to be out doing stuff in nature, for sure. Surf, snowboard.
Nice, very cool. You said you read a lot. What's a book that you would highly recommend to our listeners right now?
Man, so many good books. If you want a book that like is easy to read every single day, and that will give you a lot of ideas, if that's what you're looking for, I really liked Tribe of Mentors and Tools of the Titans by Tim Ferriss. They're interviews, so they're short interviews, probably 5-6 pages. You can read one a day. Really, really good book. Gets you moving a lot. Nice. Other books that man, I'm thinking about my bookshelf.
I was about to say there's a whole shelf behind you.
I mean, The Alchemist. The Alchemist is probably the book that I've given away the most. It's a parable. It's an easy read. And that book like definitely outlines the journey of somebody who is moved. Yep. There you go. It's a great book, man. I've seen so many, I feel like, I mean, we could probably talk about this. I feel like everybody that you meet fits into one of the archetypes in the book. Whether it's the guy who's searching for gold in the desert, or the guy that owns the iced tea shop, right? Not the iced tea shop, the crystal shop, sure. With the tea. Like so many people fit into that one. That's just such a great book. That's probably a more lightweight book that I would recommend to people. Yeah. The other one for sales, I would say Flip the Script is a great one. If you haven't read that, Oren Klaft. It's a sales book, but he teaches you the pieces that you need inside of the sales. It's very well written, very easy read, and pretty good.
Very cool. Good stuff. Good stuff. What is one piece of advice that you would give to younger Steve Werner right now?
Man,
if you only had to choose one, I know that.
Yeah, I mean, if we went back to the shiny object syndrome, that would be one for sure. Like pick one thing earlier and go all in on it. I was all in on live events, but I was behind the scenes. I was all scattered all over the place, but I feel like that was part of the journey too. And it led me to where I am today. I mean, the other one that I think I would jump in on, when I first got started for the first, I would say almost a year, I was very hesitant to spend money on a coach. When I moved forward with coaching, I'll be really clear. I mean, 12 different mentors that I hired. Some of them were good. Some of them were bad. Some of them were in the middle, but I never would have found out who was good and bad if I wouldn't have taken that first step. Move forward. If you're not seeing results in 2 months, find a new program. Find the coach that resonates with you, that's going to be able to help you, and be willing to spend money on good coaches, because good coaches, people that pour into you. You want somebody who is objective, someone who has done what you want and has walked the road that you've walked, and someone that will actually meet with you and share with you. And there are plenty of people out there that do that. Like, find somebody who resonates with you. I feel like if I would have moved forward a little bit faster on that, I probably would have. It's an exponential arc. So the sooner you start to move forward with that, the faster you're going to get results, which multiplies over time.
Sure. That's been my biggest regret. And I've been doing this since 2005. So 16 years, the web and digital agency. I was reluctant to get coaching because, I was doing all the things in the business, and then it's normally not the cheapest. It feels like a stretch for affordability, but we're all limited by our own thinking. And even if we had the capacity and the margin to dream a little bigger, we get like really strapped down by like working on the business or doing the sales or the finances, all the parts. So yeah, I feel you on the coaching and mentoring. And then lastly, masterminds are similar. So I like the one-to-one coach for sure, but small mastermind groups, kind of like the one that you're running that I'm in, are a great source of encouragement and accountability.
I'll touch on that, Jeff, since you brought it up. I think it was 2015. there was a small group of 5 of us that started meeting. And the key is with this, it has to be people that are going to show up consistently. So what we did was, if you didn't show up to a meeting, didn't matter what the reason was, you had to send everybody else, I think it was $10 at the time, because we were all still growing our businesses. And it's enough that it makes it like hurt, right? Because you have to have accountability and show up. But having a small group like that, people that are on the same level, like same income level, same kind of place in their business, and then you meet every week, and it's not long. It's an hour. This is what I'm working on. This is where I need support, a little bit of feedback. And then this is my commitment to do next week. And that group over the years, I tend to cycle it every 4 to 6 months. We bring new people in to keep it fresh and keep ideas. But I've kept in touch with all of those people. They've all become good friends, but it also, you would just move forward faster. The key to that is make sure that the people that you put in that, if you're getting started and you're listening to this, make sure the people are dedicated to moving forward. And they don't have to be willing to spend money with you, but I would say willing to spend money. You don't want to be around people who are cheap or free seekers. Get that out of your mind as fast as you can.
Great advice. Love it.
Yeah, good stuff, man. This whole episode has been chock full of good stuff, Steve. So we're so glad to have you on. This is exactly why we do the podcast, for stuff like this. So thank you so much for sharing this with all our people. Before we let you go, why don't you tell everyone the best way to engage with you? Where can they find out more about you?
Yeah, sure. You can definitely hit me up on Facebook Messenger. I always reply to. It's probably strangely like the app that I use to talk to everybody, although I'm not on Facebook all that much. Feel free to connect with me there. Send me a friend request. Happy to help you out there. If you go to Unlock Your Story Challenge, you can join the free challenge. And Stephen Philip Werner, that's a long URL, StevenPhillipWerner.com is my website. But I would say just find me on Facebook. That's the easy way. I'm happy to help you out however I can.
Very good. Good stuff, man. Well, everyone, go say hello to Steve. Thank you so much for checking out the episode today. We will be back next week on the Create With Us podcast. Hope everyone has a fantastic weekend, and we will see you later.